We're going to talk about, embracing 50 years of changes, welcoming disruption in the music business. Sounds like a pleonasm for me, because the music business is changing all the time, like every day. And it's also why my business is so motivating, like every day when I'm waking up. So I'm going to go through very shortly through the history of the festival and showing you what are the main changes that the festival focused and why the festival is now so different around the planet because of those changes that were kind of threats at the time and became opportunities. We're going to go first to 1967 when the festival born. There was a young man called Claude Nobs who founded the festival. He was working for the tourism office at that time. And the managing director of the tourism office asked him, do you have an idea to make Montreux known all around the world? Claude went to United States, to New York, and he went back to Montreux and said, I want to create a jazz festival. A jazz festival to make Montreux known all around the world. That's a crazy idea. So they gave him $10,000 to make that happen. But he could not make a big festival with only $10,000. So he got the idea first to bring all the television from all around the world, the main radios, and to bring artists in Montreux and to be recorded. We are in 1967, when we're talking now about recording things, you see, wow, I got my phone, I got my tablets, I got everything, I can record everything in HD. But in 1967, there was something very, very special. And he started to record any single note of the artist playing in Montreux. And very shortly, those artists discovered that their performances in Montreux was really unique. So they took the performance to release album, very famous albums, so Les McCann, Eddie Harris. This album was 1 million sold in the United States for 1 year, first in the chart. So the brand Montreux became a little bit stronger in US, in Japan, and all around the world. So that was the first major idea of Mr. Nobs. Now, all the archives of the festival is 10,000 hours of recorded live, which has been recognized by UNESCO as Memory of the World. So a crazy idea in 1967 is now a brilliant idea that brings the images of Montreux all around the world. But very shortly, in 1971, something very difficult happened. It was a concert of Frank Zappa taking place in Montreux at the casino where the festival was taking place. And during the concerts, the casino burns completely. But at that time, there was a young British band playing and recording in a studio in Montreux. They saw the fire on the lake and the smoke on the lake, and they wrote a song that they wanted to put on the album Machine Head they were recording at that time. So the day after, they went to Claude Nobs' chalet up in the mountain here in Co, just over there. And they brought that song and said, we wrote a song for you because you should be very sad about what happened yesterday. And he listened to the song and said, hey guys, this song is tremendous. This song has to be on the album. They put the song on the album, and it became certainly the biggest hymns of the festival. Bam, 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 Smoke on the Water from Deep Purple. You all know it. And there was some guitar player there? No, not at all. Neither one. Come on. This is the first song you're learning when you learn guitar. So how come a rock song became a hit of a jazz festival? Wow. This is disruption? No? So in the 70s, 80s, Claude Nobs really wanted to have the major soul black music artists to the festival. There was one lady, very important lady at that time, Aretha Franklin. And so he went back to New York and really want to have Aretha Franklin for the first time ever in Europe. So we went to the manager and said, we really want to have Aretha to Montreux. And at that time, Aretha was quite expensive, and Claude Nobs has like maybe 10 times less that Aretha was expecting. So Claude started to dance and talk about Montreux, about the lake, about the mountain, beautiful sightseeing, all that stuff. The manager looked at him and said, yeah, but how much? Finally, Claude say, I only have $5,000. And the manager say, okay, I see Aretha tonight, I call you back. But everybody in the music business knows that when you say, I call you back, I never call you back, forget about it. But just before leaving, Claude took from his bag 2 boxes of chocolates, gave one to the manager and said, this is the second box of chocolate for Aretha. Oh, that's very kind. Thank you very much, Claude. The day after, the manager called to the hotel and said, Aretha, love your chocolate. She's coming to Montreux. So that was certainly the most expensive box of chocolate ever. So then all those beautiful artists came to Montreux, like Nina Simone, Aretha Franklin, Ella Fitzgerald, James Brown. But there was also this guy, Marvin Gaye. And it was really, really unique to have this guy playing in Montreux. And again, Claude started to try to find the best to make the concert happen in Montreux, and it happened. But everybody knew at that time that Marvin Gaye would never be filmed and recorded on television. So the day before his show, he went to the chalet with Claude again, and he was looking to the different archives like Aretha Franklin, Nina Simone, all those big legends that played Montreux has been recorded back to the former ID. He looked at the archives and said, wow, that's tremendous. Who did that? And Claude looked at him. This is the team waiting for you downstairs. So it's the first time ever Marvin Gaye accepted to be recorded. So that's maybe a little surprise for tonight, and we're talking about music, but nothing talks better than music. Marvin Gaye, 1981.
Yeah, we wasn't always down, you know. Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson wrote some very, very up songs. Been recorded a lot too. I'm sure you might recognize it. You wanna sing along and help me step? No mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep from getting to you. Oh, ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep from getting to you. Remember the day.
So I'm sorry it's too short, but I would love to bring you some more archives on that, but I think my time is very short. So now we're going to make a little jump into the 90s, because there was a major change for the festival in 1991. This is certainly one of the most important years of the festival. First, because it was the first year of co-production with Mr. Quincy Jones. And when I was talking about rock music before, Latino music that Claude Nobs brought to the festival in the 70s, those two guys, they met quite with the same vision of the music. Claude Nobs was fighting with the press in Europe because he was bringing rock and pop and Latino music into a jazz festival. And Quincy Jones was producing soul, hip-hop music. And those two guys, they met and they became the biggest friend ever. They are called brothers. Brothers from another mother, as Quincy Jones is saying. And the story started really in 1991 when Quincy Jones co-produced the festival. And at that time, at that year, he did something crazy. He decided to do the last concert of Miles Davis in Montreux with a big orchestra. And Claude Nobs and Quincy was in New York with Miles Davis and looking for the partition and looking for all the pieces they're going to play during this concert. And Miles Davis looked at the partition and say, come on, it's going to be fucking expensive. And Claude and Quincy looked at him and say, why? Everything is written. And Miles looked at them, that's why I have to play all those fucking notes. And you know, maybe this concert, of course, is really historical because, unfortunately, Miles Davis passed away 1 month later after this concert. So 91 was very important for Quincy, for Miles Davis, but also for innovation and new technologies. I was talking about the archives, about the recordings, and Claude was a real passionate about technology. And he was going very often to Tokyo, in Tokyo to the headquarters of Sony Music. And that's another little human, very funny story, because at that time, the CEO of Sony was a guy called Sakai-san. And this guy was studying when he was 18 years old in Montreux, down to Montreux. And every morning, this guy was going to the Claude Nob's bakery, to the Claude Nob's father's bakery, to buy a little piece of bread. So like 20 years later, when they met together, when Mr. Sakai-san came to Montreux with the hat of Sony Music Entertainment, they became very good friends again. This is only a question about friendship, this festival, as you can understand. It's a kind of business, but more like a passion and a friendship. And this guy, Sakai-san, they launched for the first time ever in 1987 the HD format. Actually, maybe the young people in the audience, this HD format is exactly what I have on my iPhone, or maybe I have a 4K or 8K. But in 1987, nobody knew about it. So we started to produce the festival, the entire festival, in HD in 1991, which means in Switzerland, 22 years before we had the HD on television. So at that time, everybody looked at Claude and said, "You're crazy, it's so expensive, it's so difficult to make that happen." But he produced, and he produced, and he produced the festival in HD. And I give this little story, unfortunately, when B.B. King passed away in 2015, directly after he passed away, I got a lot of phone calls from television, from BBC, CNN, all those stuff for having some footage from the Montreux Jazz Festival with B.B. King. And I say, why all those guys are calling us to have some footage? Because B.B. King played all over the planet. But all those television, they wanted a footage with B.B. King in a very good shape, and they took the 1993 concert in Montreux in HD, because that was the unique concert in HD in the 90s for Montreux. So in about one day, 20 million, 30 million, 40 million hits, views on the B.B. King concert on Montreux. Again, so the brand development and the brand perspective of Montreux is getting bigger and bigger. But then the story is going, and we entered the 2000 years. And there was a major, major change in the music business. You all know that. Going digital. No more records. Who is buying records there? CDs? Who is buying LPs? I do. It's cool. LPs is cool. Good sound, good objects, a lot of pictures. It's very nice. But it's going digital, so then all the record company went down, and the revenue from the artists went down too. But that's the paradox of our business, because the artists were not winning any money on the record. So they started to tour, and to tour, and to play, which is good, because we had the opportunity to see the artists a lot. But they were less rare, and they became less rare and less rare, because they're going to play all over the planet, touring for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Very exhausting for those artists. But in the same times, there was a big increase of all the festivals around the planet, because everybody was going to the concert, which is a good thing for me. So still go to the concert. And the artist fee going upper and upper and upper and upper, because they're not winning any money on the record. So we had to face and say, oh, there is more festival, bigger festival, 100,000 people a day to see one concert. I only have a Stravinsky hall with 4,000 capacity. How should I fight with that? That's a big question. So we had to change a little bit our model and back to the human factor and say, okay, we don't have the capacity, we don't have the money to pay the fee that some of the festivals around the planet are able to pay. We don't have the capacity, but we have the beautiful site, we have the expertise, we have the reputation, and we know how to bring experience to the audience, and mainly, the most important thing is to keep the DNA of what Claude Nobs did at the very early years, to keep the bubble of creativity for the artist. Because that's, again, a threat when you see it like that. And you say, most of the biggest festival on the planet, how can I fight with that? But I will take that on an opportunity and how I can create an experience for the artist, how I can let the artist not play only 45 minutes or 1 hour, like the regular show, like the album show, but how can I give the stage to the artist to make something special? This is the artist's experience and brings to the customer experience. So again, for us, I heard since the 2000 years, so many times people say, oh, the model of Montreux, which is a crazy model, will be gone in about 5 or 6 years because we'll be eaten by the big Live Nation, AG, or whatever the big groups, which is tremendous festival all around the world. And so we thought how we can fight with that. And I think we've found a way, again, back to the human factor. If you're going back to 1967, Claude Nobs created a festival on human factor. Not on strategy, not on marketing, not on money, just on passion. So he did that. But unfortunately, that was another big change for me and for all the team of the festival. 2013, the founder, the creator of the festival passed away. What a situation. He did everything. He got the link with the artist. He got the mood. He had the DNA. He got something very, very special. So at that time, everybody thought that time the festival is over. But that was without thinking that Claude anticipated this change. And he was very clever on that. He built a friendship all around the planet. That was like the butterfly effect. At the time he passed away, everybody called me and said, now Claude passed away, we're going to help you to bring this festival as stronger as we can and to leverage the brand all around the planet. Isn't that beautiful? And I'll bet at that time, I spent before that 15 years working with Claude. So everybody was asking me, but how do you feel? You feel you should be very stressed. Yes, I was, a little bit, for sure. I was sad. I was sad because I certainly lost one of the most beautiful person on the planet. But my goal was then to continue that and to take everything that I learned with him, any single passion, and waking up every morning and say, I have that in my stomach, I have that in my heart. I love what I'm doing, I love the music, I love the musician. I will bring to all those guys everything that I learned from this guy. And we made it since 5 years, 5 editions. Now the festival is very good shape. We brought Stevie Wonder for the first time ever. We brought Pharrell Williams. We brought Lady Gaga. We brought all those guys. And just with the same recipe. Claude was a cook. I'm coming from the hotel business. And when we were talking about the festival, we were talking about like the hospitality business. How to welcome people. How to leverage the passion of the artist, of the musicians, of the audience. How can we create a customer experience? That's something that you know in the hotel business. And we did that. So today I can say that the future of jazz is bright. And I'm sure that someone will ask me for the 1,000th times on a row, why is this festival still called Jazz Festival? And I think you have the answer. You have the answer for everything that I told you before. Because jazz is not only a style of music. Jazz is a lifestyle. Jazz is the way of improvise. Jazz is the way of sharing passion. Jazz is the way of putting some bridges into different culture. It's not segmented in the pure jazz style. When you're doing a jam session, even if it's rock, pop, you're sharing the music with the others. That's jazz. That's everything that we're doing. So everything that we're doing is to bring a lot of passion to everybody. So when we're talking about embracing 50 years of change, yes, we had a lot of change. But more, we had a lot of passion and a lot of authenticity, treating the people with the human factor, treating the people with heart, giving the artists the freedom of doing their art, and giving the audience the freedom of enjoying the concerts and having the best time ever in Montreux. Thank you.